Hi guys. All right, so we are starting a brand new unit of study here in Communication 6, and it is all about argument and persuasion. So before we get started, I do want to let you know that you will be taking notes during this, but we have a treat this time. I actually have focus notes available for you to fill in the blank to help you take your Cornell notes. So you have the option to put in all of your questions. Keywords are already highlighted throughout with boldface, and we have our essential questions written. Now there are 2 pages and they are 2 separate note-taking instances. So the first one is what is an argument? Okay, so there's our essential question. And again, fill in the blank as we go along here. Make sure you put any questions and keywords on that side if you'd like, and then the summary at the bottom. And then the second one, which we're going to be covering both within this presentation. So I'll let you know when we're getting to the persuasive techniques. So once we get there, this is what are persuasive techniques. Make sure to put your name and the section number. It is a header, so you got to double click up there to get to it, but you can get your name and your section number. If you don't know what your section number is, especially if you're new or you just don't remember, it is listed underneath or along with the class title under my courses. So you'll see it'll say section, it'll be 11, 21, or 31 for communications. Make sure to pop it in there. It makes things easier when grading. So fill in the blank, summary. You guys know how to take Cornell notes. I'm not worried about that. So second thing I want to talk about, I know that we don't use the textbook really often, like reading directly from it, but we are going to be using it in this lesson. So I'm going to have this linked as well for you guys to use. So if you need to come back and see some of the images that I'm going to use within my presentation, you absolutely can. They'll be available to you, and we'll actually be using more analysis of these texts, next week. Okay? So, all right, here we go, you guys. Let's get started here. All right. So today's targets. I will be introduced to the parts that make up an argument. I can take notes on argument and persuasion, and I will be able to analyze claims and supporting reasons. We have a lot of academic language here, but don't worry about it because argument and persuasion will be explained fully to you. And then beyond that, analyzing claims and supporting reasons will also be explained as well. I know we have covered some of this before, especially in writing the 5-paragraph essay for the All About Me speech, but this is a little bit different because we are actually taking a stance on something and then supporting that, that stance that we are taking. All right, so here we go. Now remember, get those notes open, the document. Otherwise, you can write by hand and then put it into the document. It's entirely up to you. I do recommend split screen. It does make it a little bit easier. All right, so our essential questions. What is an argument and what are persuasive techniques? So an argument is a carefully stated claim supported by reasons and evidence. All right, so this is the really important part right here. It can be supported by reasons and evidence, because it's made up of 2 parts. The claim is a writer's position on a problem or an issue. All right, that's your thesis statement, right? That's your claim. And then the support is the reasons and evidence that help to prove the claim. So you have to have reasons to back up your claim. And those could be in statistics that you pull from articles, journal articles, newspaper articles, information put out by national programs, that sort of thing is where you can get your statistics. You could use anecdotes, which are stories. So they could be experiences from your own life. It could be experiences from someone you know, or it could be stories from someone famous, or again, go back to those journals or other texts that we can pull stories from that people have written about their experiences. Okay. And lastly is examples. Now, again, we could very likely go back to some sort of piece of writing and pull examples from that writing to explain why our claim is correct and to support our claim. Okay, so we have statistics, anecdotes, and examples. Now let's look at a graphic that actually breaks down a specific claim. So here's our claim up here at the top. Teens who use the internet for different kinds of tasks are developing important life skills. Well, that's all of you guys, right? You are using the internet for different kinds of tasks. And this individual is claiming that by doing that, you are developing important life skills. All right, so there's our claim, right? There's our thesis statement. There's our statement of what we're doing, right? That's what we claim. So now we need to support that because, again, you can't just say something and then not back it up. So here's the support number one. Using the internet for research can help teens become experts at finding information. For example, here's our example option. Looking up homework help and comparison shopping online both require savvy research abilities. So here they're giving an example of what a student is learning to do that helps them to develop important life skills. So support number two, teens are learning how to multitask. One study found that 30% of teens do more than one thing when they are on the internet. For instance, surf the web and email friends at the same time. Maybe you're gaming and you're IMing. Maybe you're doing some homework and you have music playing in the background. You're learning to multitask. And they used a statistic here from a study in order to back up their claim. Let's look at support number three. The immediate responses required by emails and instant messages can help teens learn to type faster and to process information quickly. These abilities are critical in school and in business. Now, this is a great support using an anecdote, which is a story. So they're talking about how students have to type fast and process information quickly, and that these abilities are critical in school and in business. All right. So this one could also fall under example, but anecdote fits a little bit better with this one because they're talking specifically about the immediate need to respond to things. All right, you guys, write down any questions you have. Feel free to use these to put examples in because now it is time to write an example, okay? You can use the ones that we just used, but I would prefer for you guys to come up with one from your own mind, okay? So I want you to write an example of a claim. And then I want you to write at least 2 supports in the question column. Remember, you can use statistics, anecdotes, or examples, okay? So I want you guys to pause the video right now and get that done. All right, so we have a couple of graphic organizers here to help you guys to really visualize how a claim works and then reasons and then evidence. And this really goes back to what we were looking at in the first graphic up here. So we have our claim up here, and then we had, it was all bundled together in this particular setup, but if we look at what we have here, using the internet for research can help teens become experts at finding information. That's the reason. And then the evidence is an example that they gave about how looking up homework help and comparison shopping online both require savvy research abilities. All right, and that is the evidence. And then we have the one with the statistic. So we would put our reason up there, and our reason was teens are learning how to multitask. And then the study information we would put under evidence, and same goes for reason 3. Okay, so you can see how these directly support our claim. Everything has to do with supporting the claim to make sure that everybody else believes us, right? Here's another way to look at it. You could see it as having a claim here, and you're building a house. You have 1 support, 2 support, 3 support, 4 support. So in this instance, we have 4 supports in place. So you can think of it as building a house. You have to, the claim is only the roof. You have to have all of the supports underneath it to make that claim stand. All right. So now here we go. Next, we're going to the persuasive techniques, the what is persuasion, which is the second page in your notes. If you've written a lot of notes, it might be your third page now, but remember, it's the next page. All right, here we go. Persuasive techniques are used to make persuasive messages leave a lasting impression, which means that it's going to stick with you for a long time. It's going to stick in your brain. You're going to feel it for a really long time, whatever message they're trying to give you. They can make a strong argument even more powerful. However, they can disguise flaws in weak arguments. How that works, why that happens, is because they could use certain techniques that aren't supporting, the supports aren't actually supporting the claim. So, for example, faulty reasoning. Faulty reasoning is a claim based on info that is incorrect, it is biased, or it doesn't make sense. Okay, so faulty reasoning is someone coming up with a claim and then giving a bunch of evidence that isn't actually based in fact. That's faulty reasoning, and it's definitely not a way to support your point. Another one is loaded language. Loaded language relies on words with strongly positive or negative associations. So with loaded language, basically they're using words to support or detract what they're saying because they don't actually have evidence to support it. So they're going to use certain words and adjectives to try to make their point, even though they don't have evidence to support it, their claim. So positive loaded language will bring to mind something exciting or comforting or desirable, something that you like, something that is universally loved. But negative loaded language can bring up unpleasant images, experiences, or feelings, maybe awkwardness that you felt, maybe some bad memories. That's what negative loaded language will bring up. So let's look at this graphic from the chapter to take a look at how these different persuasive techniques are used. So there's one more persuasive technique that I want to go over before we launch into the textbook graphic that we're going to go over how persuasive techniques are utilized. All right. So the last one is appeals by association. I actually think it comes second in your notes. So I apologize for kind of bouncing around here a little bit. So appeals by association are basically selling a product or an idea by linking it with something or someone positive or influential. So maybe it's a famous gamer, maybe it's a YouTuber, maybe it's a famous actor or actress. It could be a famous author, something along those lines, right? So appeals by association is where they're basically telling you that this individual is linked to this product and therefore, or this idea, and therefore you should buy into that idea or product. So there are two ways that appeals by association works. First one is bandwagon. Everyone is doing it, so you should too. Jump on the bandwagon. That's an idiom that is used here in the United States to basically mean that you need to do what everybody else is doing because they're doing it too. Okay. The second one is testimonial. So basically a celebrity, an expert, or a satisfied customer supports it. So therefore you should buy it. You should buy into the idea. You are basically being sold by this person's words and their viewpoint on something. Okay. Kind of the same idea as bandwagon, except that the celebrity or expert or satisfied customer specifically is supporting that product or idea. The other one is emotional appeals. All right, this is separate, but same concept as appeals by association, because it's still utilizing those strong feelings, but it's using strong feelings rather than facts or evidence to persuade you to support their idea or product. Okay. So when we're talking about emotional fears, they are usually appealing to fear or appealing to vanity. So when you're appealing to fear, it makes people feel as if their safety is in danger. And so therefore they have to purchase this product or follow this certain idea because that will make them feel safer or believe that their safety is involved. Okay. And that's appeal to fear. Now, appealing to vanity is basically using flattery to win people over. It appeals to them. Maybe they want to look a certain way, or they believe that if they use this product or buy into this idea, that it'll help them to be a better person or be more flattering. That's appeal to vanity. Okay, so those are the appeals section of persuasion. All right. So there is loaded language, which we've already covered. And again, that's third on your list of notes. So let's take a look at this graphic. And now this is from the textbook. So you are welcome to look at the textbook pages, and this writing is there as well. So I'm going to read directly from this, and then we'll go back and forth in our final discussions here. So the persuasive messages that have made a lasting impression on you, that have basically lasted in your brain and in your feelings and what you know and feel about a product or a group or an idea, they have been based on specific persuasive techniques or methods that were used to sway your heart and mind. The persuasive techniques shown in the chart can make strong arguments even more powerful. However, they can also disguise flaws in weak arguments because these techniques can lead to faulty reasoning. Faulty reasoning is a claim based on information that is incorrect, biased, or simply does not make sense. The examples below will help you be alert to common kinds of faulty reasoning. So a little bit of this was repetitious. We had covered this already before, but at least it helps us to make the connection between what we covered in the presentation slides and what we're covering here from the chapter. All right. So here's our appeals by association. It sells a product or an idea by linking it with something or someone positive or influential. There's our bandwagon. Here's an example of tapping into people's desire to belong to a group. Don't miss the fundraiser that everyone's talking about. Here's testimonial. Relies on the backing of a celebrity, an expert, or a satisfied customer. As the lead singer of Destination Home, I know good sound when I hear it. That's why I won't go anywhere without my FX portable music player. So you can see that they are specifically selling a product and they're appealing to you by using their being a famous lead singer. This is a made-up example, obviously, but they're a famous lead singer and they are saying, look at how much of an expert I am because I'm this lead singer and this is the only thing I will use. You should use it too. So let's go on to emotional appeals, using strong feelings rather than facts and evidence to persuade. So appealing to fear. Remember, we were talking about how they'll use fear to make people feel like their safety, security, or health is in danger. If a hurricane hit tomorrow, would your family be safe? Thankfully, we don't have to worry about hurricanes in Minnesota, but you can see that this is appealing to the fact that someone might feel insecure, that there might be a hurricane, and what do I do? Do I have to weatherproof my home? Do I have to pay for somebody to come and inspect it? Whatever it is that they're selling in order to feel safe again. Appeal to vanity. Here we go. Uses flattery to win people over. We're looking for talented athletes like you. Join our after-school running club. Join today. So in this case, they're definitely trying to convince you to join their running club because you are an amazing athlete and you should be a part of this exclusive group. All right, using flattery to win people over. Let's look at load-in language here. So that just a reminder, it relies on words with strongly positive or negative associations. All right. Again, it's going to be a lot of adjectives and sometimes sensory language, descriptive writing, everything that you guys have already covered in this class. And so it's going to look familiar. So words with positive associations, they bring to mind something exciting, comforting, or desirable. Here's our example. Sparkling waters, silky sands, and breezy air all await you at Shongam Lake Park. All right, you want me to come to your park? Those are some pretty good descriptions. But again, positive word associations to make you want to go to their park. How about words with negative associations? They'll call up unpleasant images, experiences, or feelings. The calves were raised in cramped, filthy stalls. Well, that's a really tough description, to think of baby cows being raised in horrible conditions. And so they are maybe convincing you to become a vegetarian. Maybe they're trying to put through some law or reform to support animal benefit. Whatever it is, they're using those negative associations to convince you that these animals are not cared for in the way that they should be. So all of these are examples of faulty reasoning, because there are no claims, there's no evidence to support the claims. So if we go back up here and we look at the support, we need statistics, anecdotes, or examples. And none of those had them. They were all faulty reasoning as a result. Okay, so now that we have taken a look here at all of this information, I want you guys to go and finish your notes. And then once your notes are done, I want you to submit them. But make sure you keep a copy for yourself, whether you've written that by hand or you've typed it into the fill in the blank and submitted it. If you did write by hand to take your notes, make sure to take a picture and drop them into the document that has the fill in the blank on it so that I can see your notes. It's really important because you do get points for taking Cornell notes, as you guys know. So make sure to do that and to submit it, because next week we are going to be using all of this information to analyze a text and decide whether or not they are using quality sources or not. All right. If you have any questions, you guys know how to get a hold of me, and I will talk to you soon.